So we ended up closing on this thing. We listed it in end of January. It was under contract by February 1st.
Hey guys, Sean Bloom with Pine Financial Group. We work together so you succeed. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you get new content every Friday when we release it. Today we're going to do part 2 of our interview on the case study with Anthony Verch from HC Revolution. If you didn't watch the first part, make sure to go back to our YouTube channel and watch the first part from last Friday. A quick recap of what we talked about last week. He got a property under contract in Hager City, Wisconsin, and he had some people still living in the property that he had to evict. So he gave them until the start of the year to get out of the property. And then once they were out, he was able to continue with what he planned to do on that property. This was a property right on the river. It was actually a double lot, so he was planning on splitting it. Let's see what he ended up doing here after he got those people out of the property. Here we go. Let's listen to Anthony.
And then we went in there and junked it out. We kind of went through and made sure the well was working, the septic was in good compliance, just some main things. And then we had the heat on. We wanted to make sure that we didn't have to deal with any freeze issues. And there was just so much garbage throughout the property, the grounds and the house, that we had to junk out. Before, my other business partners that we bought this with that brought it to me, it was their idea to like, hey, why don't we just try to listing this thing for sale and see what happens? And instead of listing on the MLS, we decided to list it on Facebook Marketplace, just because we weren't that serious about actually selling it.
Sure.
We were just figured we'd get some interest if we could. Well, within 5 days, we listed the house at 1 acre for $350,000, and we were going to take that other acre and build on it and then keep that as a short-term rental if we couldn't sell it. And so I was already working with the county about getting this divided, but now this person that reached out to me about buying this was interested in both parcels. They're like, we want the house and the other parcel. What can we get it for all together? And I'm like, the way I look at it is the other parcel was worth at least 75,000 once I got it done. But there was a long process of getting that done because they weren't meeting in person at the county and the planning and zoning. So it would have took me even longer. And I had done this on a few other properties during COVID, and it just took way longer than it should have.
Yeah.
Something that should have took 2-3 months took 8 or 9 months. So I was trying to think about, if I can make this type of profit on here, I should probably just go ahead and sell this thing. So we ended up negotiating back and forth. She says, well, I think 350 is a little high. I'd pay 320 for the house. And then I says, well, if you'd come up quite a bit to get the other part, I would be interested in, selling the other parcel and not keeping it. And that way you won't have any neighbors. And then so she offered me 350 and I countered at 365, and we closed in 30 days. And she said yes. So now we have a property we paid $152,000 for, and I junked it out. So we had less than $8,000. That's with earnest money, everything else out of pocket, when we really could have borrowed more from Pine on this one. But I didn't want to, I didn't know what I was going to be doing yet. And I did have my refinance money set up with my bank. So I didn't want to borrow more than I needed to until I knew what I was going to do, and
Sure.
until I could get the tenants out of there. So we ended up closing on this thing. We listed it in end of January. It was under contract by February 1st. Mind you, there's no real estate commissions because we ended up she had an attorney draft up her purchase agreement. She paid her closing costs. We paid our closing costs. And then so we closed on March 13th. And the net to seller at payout, after paying Pine's note off and everything else out, net to seller was over $204,000. So that was a pretty good win. And we negotiated the purchase agreement back and forth and limited the amount of contingencies because we didn't want this thing to be sitting and us not working on it for that month. So we wanted to make sure everything was done and it was secure. So we tested for radon. Radon was high, but they were going to be rehabbing the house anyway. So we said, hey, I got a bid for, $1,500 for a radon system. Would you rather have that in cash, or do you want me to put a radon system in? And then you're going to end up having to reroute it and do it later after you put all the work into it. And so they took the $1,500. So I didn't have to do any work. I didn't have to delay anything. And it ended up being a great introduction to the person that bought it. They were really excited. They wanted to show us the property when it's all done. So they felt they were getting a great deal. And we felt we were getting a great deal because they got a loan for 460,000 against this property to purchase it and fix it up. So they were going to be doing essentially 80 some thousand dollars worth of rehab on this property
Sure.
to make it their forever home, a River Bluff home that was an amazing property. So I was very excited for them, and I was very excited to cash one of those really big checks, so we ended up splitting that exactly in half with the guy that brought me the deal.
Wow.
And they didn't have to have any skin in the game. They didn't sign on the debt, but it was something they had brought to me, and I said, and we didn't know how much money we were going to make on it, and it didn't really matter. It was like, when someone brings me a deal, whether they want to get paid outright in a wholesale fee, and he's also was a business partner on other properties, so we were already doing short-term rentals on other properties with him and his partner as well. So it was a no-brainer to split it right down the middle because we all had equal ownerships in it. So it was a really good deal, and it goes to show that deals are still out there. I mean, this was listed on the MLS for everyone to see. Went to auction. We purchased it. It didn't get ran up as much as we thought it was going to be. We bought it for $50,000 less than we were willing to, and it was about $204,000. After all said and done, it was about a $200,000 profit. So $100,000 to us, $100,000 to our partners.
Yeah. So to just quick recap the numbers. So you bought it for 152 essentially. I've got the settlement statement up on my screen here. You had to bring about 2,600 to closing.
Yep.
Junked it out. So all in, you said about $8 or $9 grand all in.
Yep.
And then you split the entire profit with the guy who brought it to you, and you essentially net about 102,000 for
Yep.
doing a junk out on the house.
Yep.
That is unbelievable. Those are few and far between, but boy, when they hit, they're unbelievable.
Yes, when they do hit, it is a blessing. Let's just say that.
Yeah,
they're few far in between, but I've actually had pretty good luck with these auction properties, and I would like to say that I'm happy to say this isn't my highest profit on an auction property. It was one of the most recent, but I had bought a property in 2018 for $42,500, and that one I've actually done some development on it where we haven't touched the piece of property but rezoned and repositioned everything, and I've created about $1 million in equity off of a $42,500 property.
Jesus, nice job, buddy.
It's thinking outside the box and seeing opportunities where others pass. I honestly didn't do anything special out of the ordinary. There's no particular set of skills that I had to have to know what I was doing on this property. It was just having the relationship and working with local lenders and working with Pine. I wouldn't have been able to close on this property in the fast manner I did with any other lending institution. Banks were out of the question. We could have closed cash, but then we would have tied up a lot of money for a short amount of time. So essentially, if something that was $8,000 out of pocket, where it could have been something where I would have had $160,000 out of pocket, and it would have, tied it up, and I would have missed out on other opportunities. So
Sure. Yeah, that's great to hear. That's exactly why I wanted to bring you on here, because those stories they're fun to hear for us. Being part of the deal, it's fun to hear it, and I love letting people know that, hey, these are still out here. You can still find deals like this. You just got to be willing to put the legwork in and look at everything. You can't have blinders on to certain areas. You got to be able to look all over and find these deals. So to kind of wrap this up, do you have any advice for new investors or even seasoned investors? Something that you wish somebody would have told you up front, just to help them, get a jump start on things?
Yeah, I would say look at any and all opportunities. There's a lot of people that just farm a certain area. I've always been the type of investor is like, show me it, I'll analyze it, and if it doesn't work, I'll throw it out. But until I've actually looked at the deal, numbers first, and then if I know I can tweak it and adjust, kind of got to open yourself up to other opportunities. If you're just looking for fix and flips, well, you're pigeonholing yourself, because all of a sudden it could be something where you could do a quick fix and flip and refinance instead of selling it, because it might be in an area that's going to take longer to sell. You can hold, you can have short-term rentals, you can partner with someone if it's out of your area. There's so many opportunities out there. I would say networking has basically given me my lead generation now, where I can shut it off and defer it as needed if I want. So someone brings me a deal and doesn't fit in my bucket, I know who to send it to. Like, I know what people work the areas by going out and networking with other investors. So if something's not a fit for me, I can make a wholesale fee, or I can just pass it along too.
Sure. Awesome. Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us. We'll probably get you on here again because, like you said, you've got some other ones that you've made some good profits on. So we'll probably have you on here again to tell us about some of your deals going. I know you've got that one apartment deal you're working on, or that development one. So maybe we'll talk about that. But again, thanks for joining us. For the viewers out there, stay tuned, and we'll keep bringing you good videos like this about case studies and showing you that these deals are out here. So thanks again.
Thank you, Sean. I love being on. I love being able to share some of the success, but I also share some of the bad news too. So it's the good, the bad, the ugly. You got to see both sides of the business. So
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. All right. Thanks, buddy.
yep. Take care. We'll see you.